Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into one of the most exciting topics for coin collectors and treasure hunters, the most valuable wheat pennies ever made so special. How much they're worth in today's market, and what you need to know to sell them successfully at auction. So let's get started. First up, the 1916 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny is one of the classic early coins in the Lincoln cent series, produced at the Philadelphia Mint with no mint mark. This coin represents more than a century of American history and remains a favorite among collectors today. The 1916 penny carries the familiar design that began in 1909, featuring the profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and two wheat stalks on the reverse, symbolizing prosperity and unity. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this coin was created to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and it became the first U.S. coin to feature a real person's portrait instead of a symbolic figure. In 1916, over 131 million of these coins were minted at Philadelphia, which was a high number compared to earlier years. The Philadelphia coins carry no mint mark under the date, making them easy to identify from their Denver and San Francisco counterparts, which bear D and S marks respectively. Because of this large production, the 1916 no mint mark penny is considered fairly common in lower grades, yet collectors still value it because of its historical importance and age. When examining a 1916 Lincoln wheat penny, the first thing to check is the date and mint area. The date should read 1916, and below it, there should be no small letter. That confirms it was struck in Philadelphia. The coin's composition is the same as other early Lincoln cents, about 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. Each coin weighs approximately 3.11 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. The edge is plain, without reading, and when held under good light, you can see the distinctive design elements that make this coin so recognizable. Lincoln's bust, facing right, "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" on the left, and the date to the right. The reverse shows 1 cent, United States of America, and the two wheat ears curving along the edges, with E pluribus unum centered at the top. The condition of a coin determines almost everything about its market value. A 1916 penny in good condition means it has circulated heavily, and most of Lincoln's facial details are flat or smooth. The words and date remain readable, but the coin shows clear signs of age and wear. When scratches are present, the overall appeal drops, since collectors tend to prefer pieces that show honest wear but no surface damage. Scratches, discoloration, or cleaning marks can significantly reduce the price because they affect the natural look and originality of the coin. In professional grading terms, good is one of the lowest collectible grades, meaning much of the detail is lost, though the design is still identifiable. Because of the coin's wide mintage, the 1916 Philadelphia wheat penny is not considered rare in this lower grade. Price guides and dealer charts give us a realistic idea of what to expect in today's market. On most collector websites, a 1916 penny without a mint mark in good condition trades for between 20 cents and $1. Coins that are slightly better, with finer detail or smoother surfaces, might reach $1 or $2. Once a coin reaches fine or very fine condition, the value rises to a few dollars, and in extremely fine condition, it can bring about $8 to $15. Uncirculated examples showing full original color and luster can range from $20 to $40 or more. However, those exceptional pieces are very rare and usually certified by grading companies like PCGS or NGC, some 1916. Lincoln wheat pennies have achieved impressive results at auction when preserved in perfect condition with bright red color. A top-graded example rated MS68 red by PCGS once sold for more than $36,000. These cases are rare and represent the highest end of the market, where collectors pay for absolute perfection. For ordinary circulated coins with scratches, the value remains modest. Most dealers would offer only a small premium above face value for such pieces, mainly for their historical charm rather than their rarity. Even though the financial value may not be high, the 1916 Lincoln penny still carries great historical significance. Each coin that has circulated through a century of commerce tells a silent story of the time when it passed from hand to hand, from one generation to the next. Many people keep these coins as family keepsakes or as the starting point of a coin collection. It's a tangible link to America's past, to an era when pennies truly had purchasing power and craftsmanship in coin design was at its peak. Next up, the 1951 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is a coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint. And though it may not be extremely rare, it remains an important part of the historic Lincoln Wheat Cent series that ran from 1909 to 1958. This coin marks the post-World War II era, when billions of Lincoln cents were being produced, making it a familiar but still collectible piece for coin enthusiasts. The 1951 penny features the classic Victor David Brenner design, with Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse and two stylized wheat ears on the reverse, symbolizing national prosperity and unity. During 1951, the U.S. Mint produced Lincoln wheat pennies in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia Mint, which placed no mint mark on its coins, struck more than 284 million pieces that year, making it one of the higher mintages in the series. Because of this large number, the 1951 no mint mark penny is generally easy to find in circulation, though its value depends on the coin's condition, surface quality, and color tone. Since this particular coin is described as being in fine condition with some scratches and a brown shade, it falls into the mid to lower collectible category, where wear is visible but details remain clear. In terms of composition, this coin is made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, weighing approximately 3.11 grams, with a diameter of 19 millimeters. Its plain edge and reddish-brown surface tone are typical for circulated wheat pennies of this era. Over time, oxidation naturally darkens the bright red copper into shades of brown, often resulting in the brown color you mentioned. Collectors often categorize Lincoln cents by their color: red, RD, for untoned original copper luster; red-brown, RB, for partially toned examples; and brown, BN, for fully aged coins. Brown pennies are the most common and typically command lower prices than those with bright original red surfaces. When grading a coin described as fine condition, most major details are still visible. Lincoln's face, hair, and coat show wear, but remain identifiable while the lettering and date are clear. The wheat lines on the reverse are partially visible, but worn flat at the top of the ears. The fields of the coin may show small marks, scratches, or dull surfaces from circulation. Because you mentioned your coin has some scratches, that will lower its market value slightly, since surface damage detracts from eye appeal and collector desirability. In today's collector market, the 1951 Lincoln penny, without a mint mark in fine condition, generally carries a modest value. According to modern price references such as USA Coinbook and CoinStudy, this coin in average circulated grades is worth between 0.05 and 0.15. Coins in better condition, such as extremely fine or about uncirculated grades, can reach 0.28, 25 to $1, while fully uncirculated coins may sell for a few dollars depending on color and luster. In mint state red condition, which is the most sought-after variety, the coin can command prices from $5 to $20, or even more if certified by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. However, examples that are brown and show scratches usually trade near the lower end of the range. For a realistic assessment, a 1951 Philadelphia wheat penny in fine condition with a brown tone and visible scratches would likely sell for $0.05 to $0.20 in today's market. Dealers might offer slightly less for bulk circulated coins, while collectors might pay a bit more for one that shows even color and honest wear without cleaning. Since billions of 1951 Lincoln pennies still exist, their value is largely sentimental and historical, rather than based on scarcity. Yet each piece remains a small artifact from the early 1950s, reflecting the craftsmanship and stability of U.S. coinage at that time. Even though its market price is modest, the 1951 no-mint mark Lincoln penny tells an enduring story. It represents a nation emerging from the challenges of World War II, a time when the United States was growing economically and culturally. Every coin from that era has passed through countless hands, buying goods and services at a time when a single penny had real purchasing power. Holding a 1951 penny today connects you with that history. Over 70 years of American life contained in one small copper disc. Next up, the 1945 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is one of the most well-known coins from the mid-20th century. Produced at the Philadelphia Mint, this coin holds a special place in the hearts of collectors, not only because of its vintage appeal, but also because it was struck near the end of World War II, a period of great change and resilience in the United States. The Lincoln wheat penny design, created by Victor David Brenner, had already become a classic by that time, symbolizing the nation's respect for President Abraham Lincoln and the values he stood for: freedom, unity, and integrity. This coin was made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, weighing about 3.11 grams with a diameter of 19 millimeters. It has a plain edge, and most examples have aged to various shades of brown or red-brown due to oxidation over time. The Philadelphia Mint produced an enormous number of these coins. Over 1 billion were struck in 1945 alone, making it one of the most common wheat pennies in circulation. Despite that, collectors still appreciate them for their age, design, and historical background. Your coin is described as being in good condition, with some scratches. In coin grading terms, good refers to a well-worn coin that has seen extensive circulation. On such a coin, Lincoln's facial features are mostly flattened, and the details in his hair, coat, and beard are worn smooth. However, all major design elements, such as the date and lettering, remain visible. The reverse design also shows significant wear, with the wheat lines nearly faded but still faintly visible. Scratches, discoloration, or minor nicks further lower the coin's collectible value because they affect its appearance and originality. Still, a coin in this condition carries historical appeal, as it represents over 80 years of circulation and survival. Because of its massive mintage, the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is not rare. Its market value depends primarily on its condition, color, and originality. Coins like yours in good condition with some scratches generally sell for $0.05 to $0.10 in today's coin market. A slightly better example, graded as fine or very fine, may be worth between $0.10 and $0.25. Coins in extremely fine or about uncirculated grades can sell for $0.50 to $1, while bright red uncirculated examples, which retain their original copper luster, are worth anywhere from $3 to $10, depending on color and grade. Truly pristine, certified red coins can bring even higher prices at auction, though those are exceptional cases. One of the reasons collectors enjoy coins like the 1945 penny is their connection to wartime America. During that era, copper was essential for military materials, and just 2 years earlier, in 1943, the U.S. Mint had even produced pennies from steel coated with zinc to conserve copper for the war effort. By 1945, the Mint had returned to the traditional bronze composition, and millions of these coins were struck to meet post-war demand. Each of these pennies, therefore, represents not just currency, but a small artifact from a time when the nation was emerging from global conflict and beginning to rebuild peace and prosperity. Even though the 1945 no mint mark wheat penny's value in dollars may be modest, its historical and emotional worth is much greater. It's a coin that has survived generations, possibly passed through the hands of soldiers, farmers, and everyday Americans during one of the most important decades in U.S. history. Every scratch and mark tells part of that long story, showing that it was used in daily life when pennies actually bought something meaningful. For many collectors, holding such a coin is like holding a piece of living history. If you own a 1945 Lincoln penny in good condition with scratches, it's best to keep it in a protective plastic holder or a coin flip to prevent further wear. Avoid cleaning or polishing it, as cleaning can permanently damage the coin's surface and lower its value even more. Instead, appreciate it as an authentic piece of numismatic history. If you ever decide to sell or trade it, you can check current prices on trusted coin value websites or show it to a local dealer for a quick evaluation. While its market worth might be around a few cents, its true value lies in its legacy. Next up, the 1944 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is one of the most iconic and widely collected coins in American history. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, this coin holds a special place among collectors because it marks the first year the U.S. Mint returned to making pennies from copper after producing steel cents in 1943 for the war effort. The 1944 Lincoln penny tells a story of America's resilience during World War II and its return to normalcy in the post-war period. Despite being common in circulation, a well-preserved example in very fine condition still carries strong historical appeal and collectible interest. This 1944 penny is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, weighing about 3.11 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. The coin has a plain edge and a warm reddish-brown or brown color typical of circulated bronze cents from that era. Because copper was once again available for minting after wartime shortages, the mint produced an enormous number of these coins. In 1944 alone, the Philadelphia Mint struck over 1.4 billion wheat pennies, one of the highest mintages in U.S. history. As a result, the 1944 no mint mark Lincoln penny is not rare, though condition and originality still play a major role in its collectible value. In very fine condition, your coin has moderate wear but still shows most of its design details clearly. Lincoln's hair, beard, and coat are well defined, though slightly worn on the high points. The lettering and date are sharp and easily readable. On the reverse, both wheat ears remain visible, with most of the lines in the stalks still showing but flattened near the top. The coin's surface may show minor marks or light scratches, which is normal for circulated coins. Since you mentioned your coin has some scratches, that slightly lowers its value, but it remains a respectable collectible piece in this grade. When it comes to current market value, the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny, without a mint mark, in very fine condition, typically sells for $0.10 to $0. Fena coins, in extremely fine or about uncirculated grades, can bring between $0.30 and $0.75, while uncirculated examples with strong color and luster may reach $2 to $5. Truly exceptional red, uncirculated pieces, especially those graded by PCGS or NGC, can fetch $10 to $25 or more, depending on quality and visual appeal. However, a circulated coin with light scratches, such as yours, would realistically trade around 10 to 20 cents in today's collector market. There is also an interesting historical note about the 1944 pennies. A few rare transitional errors were struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943 rather than the standard bronze ones. These 1944 steel cents are extremely rare and valuable, sometimes selling for tens of thousands of dollars at auction. But most 1944 Lincoln pennies, including yours, are made of bronze. You can check this by testing with a magnet. If it's copper-based, it will not be magnetic. Beyond its modest dollar value, the 1944 wheat penny carries deep historical meaning. It was minted during the final year of World War II, a time when American factories were in full swing, producing materials to help bring the war to an end. Every one of these coins circulated through the hands of citizens during a moment of global change and national pride. The fact that your coin has survived more than 80 years, even with some scratches, is a testament to its durability and significance. Collectors often cherish 1944 Lincoln pennies as a bridge between the wartime steel cents of 1943 and the return to normal bronze production. Each piece tells a story of everyday Americans, of wartime sacrifice, and of recovery that followed. Holding such a coin today connects you with that generation, with a time when Abraham Lincoln's image stood for unity, strength, and perseverance through adversity. Next up, the 1945 Abraham Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is one of the most recognizable and historically meaningful coins from the World War II era. It was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why there is no mint mark under the date. Although it's not considered a rare coin, it carries strong historical value because it was produced during a time when the world was changing. America was on the verge of victory in World War II, and the economy was transitioning from wartime production back to peace. Every coin from this period reflects that sense of national endurance and renewal. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse of the 1945 penny displays the iconic portrait of President Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above his head are the words, "In God we trust with liberty" to his left, and the date 1945 on the right. The reverse design features two stylized wheat stalks on each side, framing the denomination 1 cent and the inscription United States of America. At the top of the coin, you can read the Latin phrase a pluribus unum, which translates to out of many. This design was in use from 1909 until 1958 and remains one of the most beloved coin designs in U.S. history. The 1945 Lincoln wheat penny is made from 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. It weighs about 3.11 grams and measures 19 millimeters in diameter. It has a plain edge and usually shows shades of reddish-brown or dark brown depending on how it has aged. Over time, the copper surface naturally oxidizes, giving each coin a unique tone and appearance. During 1945, the Philadelphia Mint struck more than 1 billion Lincoln pennies. Specifically, over 1,040 found 515,000 pieces, making this one of the most heavily produced coins of the entire wheat penny series. Your coin is described as being in fine condition with some scratches. In numismatic terms, fine means that the coin shows moderate wear from circulation but still has visible design details. On the obverse, Lincoln's hair and cheek are worn smooth, but his profile remains distinct. The lettering and date are sharp, though the surface may be dull from age. On the reverse, the wheat stalks are worn but still clearly separated, and the lines inside them are faintly visible. The scratches you mention would reduce the eye appeal and therefore the coin's overall market value slightly, since collectors generally prefer coins with clean, natural surfaces. In today's collector market, a 1945 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in fine condition typically sells for 0.10 to 0.20. Coins that are in very fine or extremely fine condition can bring 0.25 to 0.50, and those in about uncirculated or mint state condition are worth between $1 and $5, depending on their color and luster. Uncirculated examples with bright red copper color, certified by grading companies such as PCGS or NGC, can reach values of $10 to $20 or more, depending on the grade and visual appeal. However, for a circulated coin with scratches, like yours, The realistic value is closer to the lower end of that range, around 10 to 15 cents. It's worth noting that 1945 was one of the final years of the wartime coinage era. Just 2 years earlier, in 1943, the U.S. Mint produced steel pennies to conserve copper for military materials. By 1944, the Mint had resumed copper-based coins using recycled shell casings from the war effort. Thus, many of the 1944 and 1945 pennies contain traces of recycled wartime brass, making them historically significant even though they are common in numbers. Each 1945 penny is a tiny piece of that moment in American history, a tangible reminder of the nation's recovery and resilience after years of global conflict, even though the 1945 no mint mark wheat penny is not particularly valuable in monetary terms. It holds deep sentimental and historical significance. For many collectors, it's an entry point into coin collecting, a reminder of simpler times and a way to connect with America's past. Every scratch and worn surface tells a story. Perhaps it passed through the hands of a soldier returning home, a farmer buying supplies, or a family saving coins in a jar after the war. It represents the endurance of a nation and the everyday people who carried it in their pockets during one of the most transformative periods of the 20th century. If you have one of these coins, you should handle it carefully by its edges to avoid adding new marks or fingerprints. Store it in a soft plastic coin flip or holder to protect it from moisture and further wear. Avoid cleaning or polishing it, as doing so can damage its original surface and reduce its collector appeal. The natural patina of a circulated copper coin adds to its character and authenticity. Although your 1945 Lincoln penny in fine condition with scratches might be worth only a few cents on the market, its real value lies in its story and age. It's more than just an old coin. It's a surviving witness to a time when the world was rebuilding, and when President Abraham Lincoln's image continued to symbolize unity, strength, and perseverance. Holding such a coin is like holding a small piece of American history, and that makes it far more meaningful than its face value ever could.